Hey everybody, this is Praxis, and in this video we're talking about the design phase of putting together your retreat or your homestead. This is one of the most exciting parts of the process because it's like when you're gardening, it's kind of like the seed catalog part of it, where all the doors are open, the sky's the limit, you can do whatever you want, and it's really exciting, but it can also be kind of daunting because you just have so many options. The first thing that you have to figure out is what type of building technique you want to go with, because based on whatever building technique you want to go with to create your structure, that's going to have certain opinions on, kind of how you lay the rooms out and everything. I'll give you an example of that. I mean, there's post and beam construction, stud construction, straw bale construction, there's concrete block construction, cob, adobe, there's all different types of construction materials you could go with, and they each kind of have a vote on how you build the structure. For example, if you're going with a stud construction, conventional kind of stud wall construction, that lends itself to rectangular shaped rooms. Yet that doesn't mean you can't make a circular room, but stud construction tends to like rectangles. That's the easiest way to do it. Whereas something like adobe or cob or something like that, that lends itself to curved shapes. It doesn't mean you can't make a rectangular shaped room out of cob or adobe, but you have to force the materials to kind of go in that direction. None of that's impossible, but whatever you decide you want to work in, whatever medium you want to work in, it has its own kind of predilections towards the shapes of rooms and all that. So you want to kind of decide what you want to build and have it be suited to be something that'll work in your area. I'm going to be going with post and beam construction. It's something that I'm familiar with. It's the way that I built my last homestead. I like the style. I feel like it's airy and it's something that appeals to me. That doesn't mean that it's the best in the world, or it's the only way to do it, or if you want to build a homestead or a retreat, it's got to be post and beam. Absolutely not. It's what appeals to me, and that's what I'm going to be going with. But whatever design approach and whatever material approach you decide to go with, one of the great ways to start laying out rooms is using circles. Now I know I just said that if you're going to be going with post or beam or stud construction, that likes rectangles, but to start working out the basic kind of layout of your home, circles are a great way of doing it. And the way that you do that is to kind of like create circles on a piece of paper that kind of flow into each other. You may want to have like your bedroom kind of walk right out into your kitchen in the morning, to make breakfast. You may want to have your bedroom next to a bathroom. The idea is you want to have different circles with different functions that are kind of flowing around in your house, and you want to be kind of shuffling those around and positioning those in a way that you can kind of imagine your workflow going. I'll give you an example of that. The house I'm in right now, this normal house, has a terrible workflow for the kitchen. The basement is where the wood stove is located. So in the wintertime, when you're cooking on the wood stove, you have to walk all the way from the kitchen, all the way down a hallway, all the way downstairs, all the way across the width of the house to get over to the wood stove. It's a good 10+ second trip. And if you can imagine, when you're cooking in the kitchen, if you're cooking on a range right next to you in the kitchen, you're chopping up vegetables and you're throwing them into the pan. You're chopping up more vegetables, you're throwing them into the pan. Now just imagine that adding in the extra trip. You're chopping up vegetables, you walk out of the kitchen, you walk down a hall, you walk down a flight of stairs, you walk across the whole width of the house, you throw them into the pan. You walk back across the width of the house, you walk back up a length of stairs, you walk down a hallway, you walk back into the kitchen, you chop some more vegetables. You walk out of the kitchen, you get the idea. You don't want to build that kind of inefficiency into your house. So by laying circles out of things that have kind of common use that you're going to be using together, it can really increase the efficiency that you kind of go through your daily life. And if time is a premium to you and you want to spend more time doing things and less time kind of meandering around walking through endless corridors in your house, you want to have things of common use placed next to each other. Other things in your house that are a consideration are the natural sort of environment of your house. My house is going to be bermed into the ground. That means it's going to have a cool back wall that's up against, kind of that the bermed inside of the house. It's going to have a walkout basement. That cool, dark side of the house has natural attributes that are good for something like a pantry. Pantries want to be cool. They want to be dark. You know, there's some foods that don't want to have, light falling on them. So that's a natural place to put a pantry. It's not necessarily a natural place to put a nice reading room. You don't want to be having like if you're going to have a reading room, you don't want to have that be in a dark, cold corner of your house. So you want to think about the areas of your house that are going to tend to be warmer, the areas that are going to tend to be cooler, the areas that are going to tend to be brighter, the areas that are going to tend to be darker. And you're going to want to harmonize those with the different functions that you're having going on in your house. Now, in today's modern age, people are used to like designing things poorly and then using energy, usually fossil fuels, to kind of hammer through whatever purpose they wanted to actually do in that. You can do that, but especially if you're going to try to do something off-grid, you're going to be taking and wasting a lot of your resources, your energy resources, trying to, fight against Mother Nature. And whenever you can work with Mother Nature instead of against her, it's always makes your life a lot easier. It makes things go a lot better. And it also has the added benefit of not wasting energy and, pollution and all that kind of stuff. So for so many reasons, it's a good idea to think about the natural attributes of different parts of the structure you're going to build and try to harmonize whatever, function you have going on with that area. I'm going to be integrating a lot of technologies into this structure. There's going to be gray water going on in this structure. There's going to be solar hot water, directly heating hot water with the energy of the sun. I've experienced a lot of solar cooking over the past couple of years. I know the enormous amount of thermal energy that the sun can, put into things, with even just a small array. So I'm going to be using solar hot water in this house. I'm also going to be doing solar electric in this house, and there's going to be so many other technologies. But without blabbing too much about all the intricacies of it, let's take a kind of a tour of the house that I'm going to be creating. And I built it in sort of an interesting, I didn't do it in CAD. It's not in CAD. Well, you'll see. I think it was kind of an interesting way to do a house walkthrough.
Well, I decided to do this sort of simulation of my new homestead in Minecraft because I thought it would be a good way to kind of feel through the space. And while Minecraft isn't the most, scale accurate way of doing it, in fact, it's not at all, it is a good sense of kind of getting a sense of the space. And here you can see the outside of the house right there. And I was thinking maybe I might have goats at some point. Now, these are Minecraft cows because they don't have goats, but, maybe I could have goats. As the sign says, goats for milk. And, certainly I've been thinking about maybe doing chickens, chickens for eggs, but oh wow, they even have some eggs already for me. They've been hard at work. Anyway, what we're really interested in here, or at least I am, is the house structure. So we're going to move up here, and as you can see, all the windows kind of face south, and they get a lot of that sunlight. And you probably want to ignore this here. That's nothing particular. But we're going to go in through the greenhouse and kind of check out this structure and see kind of how it flows. So you can see that the concrete here is merging right in with the greenhouse structure. So part of it's concrete, part of it's wood. We'll go in through here, a little bit of a stonework so that in the wintertime when it's cold outside and you come in here, you have plenty of space to kind of kick off your boots so you're not bringing snow into the house. I think there's going to be some water features in here, like the way that I had done at my last homestead. I had a fish pond in one of the greenhouses. I think I'd like to do that in here, so kind of use this to sort of represent that idea. This greenhouse is also going to get gray water from the house. That's where the gray water is going to come in. So we'll go in through the front door here into this kind of entryway area, and there's kind of a sitting area over here. There'll be nice light in here. I think next to these stairs I'll probably have a bookcase built in there, and this little lump next to the door, that'll be a closet. I wasn't able to put a door on it just the way that Minecraft was working, but that'll be a coat closet for shoes and things. And this here will be a bathroom with a shower and a toilet and stuff. I wasn't able to really fit it all in the scale of Minecraft, but that stuff's all going to be in there. And this bathroom here is going to get gray water from the bathroom on the second floor that's just above it. So there'll be gravity drop gray water right into there for use for flushing. Again, here are all these south-facing windows that are going to get a lot of sunlight coming in from the south there, both in the summer and in the winter. And right here we have the wood stove. with a smokestack going straight up through this open space, and you can see that it's opened up to the other stories in the house, so it gives you a lot of sense of verticality. That's something I really appreciated with the first homestead. It had cathedral ceilings, and you could feel like you kind of stretch out even when you're cooped up in the wintertime. And I thought that was kind of a nice feeling there. Obviously, there'll be railings on these stairs, just another thing that doesn't really work so great in Minecraft. Here's the kitchen area and a dining area. Refrigerator right here. This sense of space between it and the wood stove is kind of exaggerated to feel maybe closer than it will really be. Yeah, obviously you don't want to necessarily have your wood stove right next to your refrigerator because one wants to be hot, the other wants to be cool. There's going to be a little bit of cabinet space between these guys, and having lived with a wood stove for a long time, I kind of have a pretty good sense of how far they really cast their heat out into the surrounding area. And I made sure I factored that in and made sure that the refrigerator was, far enough away and covered up so that it's going to be plenty cool. Kind of going into the kitchen area here, this is the best I could do for a range. This white thing is going to be where the oven is. This is all black countertop here, and the sink right here. So when I'm washing dishes, I can look out into the greenhouse, get a little bit of light in through there. A little bit more counter space under here. We'll have some under cupboard lighting, and up here will be all cupboards for storage up there. It's a good idea to try to build storage into these kind of structures a lot, because sometimes you forget about how much space you actually need for storing things. So this area here just has a really open feel. Again, kind of looking up into the upper levels of the house there. And right next to the kitchen is the pantry. And this will be the pantry area, which will walk back to the utility room at the back end here. And this feels a little bit more cramped than it's really going to be. It's about 8 feet wide here. I mean, in this it looks like it's like 3 feet across, but in the real design it's about 8 feet across side to side, and pretty long. So there'll be lots of storage space here with the pantry right next to the kitchen. It was really important to me to have the kitchen right next to the pantry and right next to the wood stove. So you can do cooking on the wood stove, working in the kitchen, grabbing things from the pantry, and they're all really proximal to each other. At the current house I'm in, the work area is just really spread out. The refrigerator is really far from the sink, the counter space is all spread out, and the pantry's down in the basement, as well as the wood stove's down in the basement. So if you're in the kitchen and you're chopping vegetables here, all you have to do is just turn over and drop them right onto the wood stove. But in the house I'm in currently, I have to walk down a flight of stairs, and it's a really long work triangle to be in the kitchen. So that's kind of the downstairs area here. So I'm going to walk us up to the upstairs. And upstairs, as you can see, there's going to be most of the library is going to be in this upstairs area, kind of wrapping around these walls. And then it's going to be mostly bedrooms off over here, and a bathroom here. And we'll open up the bathroom door. I didn't really fill the bathroom up, but this will be a larger bathroom, and this is going to have the washing machine and the bathtub, sink, toilet, that kind of thing. And again, the water that comes out of this bathroom from all of those things except for the toilet is going to go down to a holding tank just below here, and it'll be able to be used for flushing toilets down in the lower bathroom. Right over here I mentioned that there was going to be a bedroom. There's one bedroom here that has a lot of nice light access. Looking out all these windows. This one looks into the greenhouse, so this one will be able to collect greenhouse warmth in the winter, and this one looks out to the south over here. Just across from the bedroom, there is the potential of having another bedroom, but really the plan for this place is to use it as a really big walk-in storage closet. So that's what that space is going to be. And then we're going to pop up to kind of the loft area. Right here is going to be, if we're going to watch a film, I think we'll have a couch over here, and there's going to be, against where these stairs are, there'd be like a monitor there. There'll be a little bit more of a wall feel to this area here. Again, just in Minecraft, I wasn't able to do a whole wall, but you can hang out here and watch a film or something like that. So we're going to go up to the loft area. Again, there will be railings in the actual house. They just didn't fit into here in Minecraft. Coming up all the way up here, and you can see coming up from here, you get this really great sense of space going all the way from the top all the way to the bottom. If River wanted to do any experiments dropping things, as long as the wood stove's not on, I guess this would be a place to do it. There's a closet right at the top of the stairs here, just a little closet right there. And there's 2 bedrooms on either side here. One bedroom here, and this one faces west. River's kind of thinking he wants to claim this one, the west-facing bedroom, to see the sunset. And then there's another bedroom over here. It's kind of a mirror image, faces east. And this one's just a little bit larger than the other one. So that's a run-through of the space. All the different areas kind of work into each other. The warm areas try to stay near the warm areas. The cool areas try to stay near the cool areas. That's one thing that was kind of important to me is, for example, the pantry right back here. This is going to be thermally separate from the rest of the house. So the pantry and the utility room don't really need to be heated and don't want to be heated. You want to keep your pantry kind of cool. So when this door closes, that area back there is not going to be receiving heat from the rest of the house. The walls are going to be insulated, and it's going to be thermally separate to just keep the food that much fresher and cooler. Why don't we go out through the other greenhouse over here? And this is what I'm going to be kind of referring to as the dry greenhouse. This won't have a lot of gray water pouring through, but we are going to do hanging laundry in this greenhouse. How did a chicken get in here? Well, I guess it walked through the open doors. We are going to do hanging laundry that'll span right across this area. All these greenhouses are going to need to be and have plenty of venting in them to keep the fresh air kind of coming in and just keeping them from getting musty. That's something I noticed at the last homestead I built. They had a tendency of getting too humid. So I'm going to be careful about that this time and try to keep them well vented. So that's a general run through of the house. Now let's talk about sort of where I am in the process of getting to this point.
Once you've decided on what type of house structure that you'd like to build, now's the time to kind of do what I was talking about in the last video, about starting to engage with the town officials in your area to kind of find out about the permitting process and all of that stuff. I'm going to share with you a little bit about what the permit process and the build process is like in my area. It may be different in your area, so you'll want to check on that. But in my area, the first step of the process, once you kind of have a design for the house, is to do a perk test. If you aren't going to be connecting to sewers, you need to see if you can install a septic system in that area. And a perk test is a test to see whether or not the soil will percolate water through. It's a standard kind of thing. So you're going to need to hire an engineer to come out and to run a perk test on your location. Once they do that, they're going to be able to draw up what's called a site plan. And a site plan is kind of the overall blueprint of the landscape area where your house is going to go in. It'll show where the house is going to be. It'll show where your septic tank's going to be and your distribution box and leach field. Those are all kind of septic tank related things. It'll show where your driveway is coming in. It'll show elevations. It'll become kind of a master plan for putting in all of your stuff. At that point, you want to really get serious about getting all of your permits. You can be doing kind of the permitting and everything, leading up to that. But at this point, you really want to make sure you get all your permits, because at this point, you're ready to start clearing your land. So you want to make sure that you're cool with the building inspector, the Board of Health, if there's a conservation commission and all that. You want to make sure you're good with all of them, and then you can start clearing your land. You can clear your driveway in, and you can start clearing your house site. That is where I am in the process right now, is that we're just about to kind of start doing all that kind of stuff. And, it's an exciting time to be, getting ready to do all that kind of stuff. Once you have the house site all cleared out, you can start excavating for your foundation. You want to get down, down to, clean soil where they can put in the foundation. They're going to pour a footing. They're going to put a foundation wall on top of that. I say they because that's not a part of the process that I personally do. That's something that you could do yourself. People can pour their own concrete. They can lay their own concrete walls and everything. That's just not something that I tend to do myself, because I prefer to have someone just come in and pour it, and then I step in after that. Once you have a really nice foundation poured, you're going to need to do drainage around it, backfill around it. I would recommend highly insulating on the outside of the foundation wall. I know a lot of people, and including in this place where I'm in now, in this basement at Normal House, the insulation's on the inside of the wall. That misses, in my opinion, a huge opportunity to use the enormous thermal mass of your basement walls to help keep your house a moderated temperature. So if you can put foam insulation on the outside of the wall that will, insulate the walls, but at the same time, it'll allow you to use your walls to kind of stabilize the temperature within your house. Once you get all that stuff up, you're going to put a sill plate down on top of your foundation. That'll get screwed right down on top because your contractors or you would have left little bolts sticking up out of the foundation, so you can attach your sill plate down. And then for me, the next step is to start building the floors and building the actual ribs of the house, because I'm going to be doing a post and beam design. Once all the ribs are up and you kind of have the rough skeleton of your house, you can sit back, rest on your laurels for about 5 minutes, say, wow, I can finally kind of visualize the house is formed now. And now it's time for me to start putting walls up on the house. That's the way that my build approach, because it's post and beam, works. You put up the ribs, then you slap the walls up on the outside of that. I'm going to be using tongue and groove pine board walls. After that, there's going to be a house wrap that goes around, kind of a vapor barrier that goes around everything. After the vapor barrier is up, foam insulation goes up again on the outside of the form, kind of the same way that the foundation was done. You have the foundation and the insulations on the outside of that. It's the same way with this post and beam design, where it has the inside boards, vapor barrier, and then the foam on the outside. That's all held in place with some strapping boards. And then you're free to put the roof on. Then I'll be putting the roof on the house. Once the roof gets onto the house, it's a very happy day, because you know that the house is at least kind of like weather tight, and it can get some snow on it, if you're getting close to winter, and it'll shed off. That's an exciting day to finally get the roof onto your house. After the roof, you're going to slap the windows onto the house. And again, this is my design approach. Depending on what design approach you use, you may have a different sequence, but this is what's ahead for me. Windows are going to go up for me. Once the windows are on the whole house is, tight at that point. You can tape up and seal up all of your gaps. If you need to do any energy testing, that's the time when you would be doing the energy testing, doing a blower test to see, whether you've sealed your house up well enough. In this structure, the wiring goes on the outside of the insulation. So once all the windows are up, I'm going to be running all the wiring around the house. And then after the wiring all goes up, you get, whether there might be an electrical inspection at that point, and then the exterior walls go up on the outside. At that point, the house from the outside looks finished. It looks like a complete house. And then the last step is to go inside and do all the things inside the house, build all the inside walls, cabinets, all that kind of stuff. It's a whole job once the whole house gets filled up, but it's an exciting time, because then you finally have your structure, and your structure can start actually working for you. So that is the design and build process that's ahead for me. Again, where I am at the process right now is we're just about to get people coming in to start clearing the land and opening up that house site and get going with it. So that's it. If you're interested in doing your own house design, there are so many books that you can get into that will give you all sorts of tips for that kind of thing. There's plenty of internet sites that you can go to that have lots of kind of free plans or just sample plans that can kind of get you thinking, get you brainstorming about it. But it is a super exciting thing to get involved in. And I think it's a shame that so many people, so many human beings miss out on this kind of fundamental aspect of being a living creature on this planet. Humans are kind of, well, maybe hermit crabs. Humans and hermit crabs are kind of the only creatures that don't make their own home. They, commission it from someone else. They find an old one, a used one, or something like that. And it's it's hard to describe the feeling of putting together your own home unless you've done it for yourself. But it is a really grounding experience that connects you back to the millennia of human beings and all animals being responsible for creating their own home, creating their own kind of life support system. It's a part of being a living creature, in my opinion, and it's a real shame that more people don't get to experience that and appreciate that for themselves. I'm just about to get to do that. I'm going to bring you along in the process, and I hope that it encourages you to consider doing it for yourself. That's it. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for new videos all the time, and if you'd like to support this channel, you can do so either through Patreon or PayPal.